Hello and welcome to my podcast, Whisper in the Shadows, the true story of a real-life undercover cop. I'm Michael Bates, and I was a police officer for 15 years in one of the country's state police forces. I was also an undercover cop for over 2 years, and all the episodes of this podcast are my true stories of what it's really like to be an undercover cop. Rather, I was Michael Bates. So, full disclosure, Michael is not actually my real name. It was my covert identity I used on most of my operations. Now, everyone has a notion of what undercover policing is all about. Whether you think they are a narc, a covert operative, a dog, or an undercover cop, most people seem to confuse plainclothes police with being undercover. There is a very big difference though. Most plainclothes police don't wear a uniform, so they aren't as obtrusive in public. Being covert is completely different though. You become immersed in the world of your targets. When you're a police officer, part of your role is to investigate crimes. This means you try and find evidence to prove the person you have arrested has committed that crime. Now, this evidence can consist of physical, verbal, video, and witnesses. When you're an undercover police officer though, you are the evidence, and you are the reason someone gets convicted of the crimes. That is both exciting and dangerous. So, why don't we get on with the next episode? Welcome back to our first episode of Whisper in the Shadows, the interview series. This is part 2 of my interview with Tommy, who is a serving police officer and undercover police officer from another part of the world. Last week, we had just finished talking about one of the situations Tommy found himself in where he had been threatened with a knife, basically over a $20 bag of crack. Let's hear what else has happened to him and get through the second part of this interview. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened in a either a buy or a buy bust or whatever else, you know, the other sort of things that you've been doing?
Funniest thing, man, some things are funny to me, but not funny to other people.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So you and I might find them funny. I guess the thing that you've gone, how could that possibly have happened?
There was one where I was kind of infiltrating a group that likes motorcycles and like the color red. I was hanging out with those guys for about a month and drinking, and every day I was just getting hammered every day. Another time,
put on lots of weight.
I did, and my cholesterol doesn't help. And then we had this new boss that took over the team. He decided to come out this one night and kind of see how things went. And then after the scenario, we kind of had a debrief at the end, and I was very, very drunk. At the end of it, I could barely talk and stand up. And then the boss at the time, who has no undercover experience, is like, "Oh my God." So,
that would be a bit eye-opening, but for you, that would have been
just
maybe not an everyday experience, but it was part of the job.
Yeah, it's another Tuesday.
Yeah, just another Tuesday. Did you end up winding? Was that job wound up successfully?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was 4 months. It was long. It was a long time. Hanging out with these guys who were just a bunch of.
So is that a 4 month every day? Every day, all day type deal, hanging out with them away from home, not having any or limited contact with family?
No, this one is more like just during the shifts that I was working that week, but at the same time we're also doing other files at the same time. So we might be doing 4 different files, operations, or projects during that week, and that just happens to be one of them.
Have you ever had any? I would assume you'd be using different identities in some of these different operations, if we can call them, or you call them files. Did any of them come across each other during the time you were working with them all? Or was there potential for it?
There was a little potential with some of the drug dealers, right? They kind of know each other anyway. They kind of sit in groups. I always try to keep my same first name for about a year, year and a half. Then I'll switch it up to something else. But I did have one element of my career where I worked homicide file, kind of a major crimes, big file. He ended up getting sentenced. I think it was like 10 years or something like that. And when he got out, he started. He got sentenced for the murder, and then he got out and then started dealing drugs. And then I get into a car and same guy again. So he's set the full circle of undercover operations, that guy. But
did he know that it was your evidence or your information that put him away in the murder?
No, because my role back then with that one was limited. I wasn't the primary operator for that one, but when I got in the car with him to buy drugs, he did give me the full interview and interrogation. I mean, obviously he's a little bit more savvy and he knows they're out there. But he still sold to me. So
yeah, it's always good when they say things like, "Oh, are you an undercover cop?" No, my lawyer told me if I ask you if you are and you say you aren't, then it's not evidence you can use against me. It's like, yeah, good. Oh, you're stupid.
Yeah, that's what I always spin it back on them. It's like, you got to tell me as well if you're a cop. Oh, yeah, and that's that kind of back reasons why they're not a cop. So, yeah, it's kind of...
yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, what's the most dangerous one you've done?
The most dangerous one?
Set the scene for us.
Actually, it wasn't that long ago. It was only maybe 2 years. I don't know, it was about 2020. I got into a car with a fentanyl dealer. First time. It was just a random.
Is fentanyl a big drug? Because obviously I'm out of the job for a long time, but I can still hear about things that are going on. The only thing I know about fentanyl is Michael Jackson and Prince.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really big over here, and I'm sure it's going to be hitting Australia. If it's not already, I'm sure it has. But it's not good. It's a bad one.
Okay, so you're hitting up a fentanyl dealer.
Yeah. So this is one of the times where I'm not armed. Deals that I was wearing like Hawaiian shirt and slippers, and I had nowhere actually.
Oh, Miami Vice style.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So we end up. Yeah, we just. I think it was like maybe the third buy of the day of different people and. Pretty relaxed and just jump in, and then I'm in the passenger seat with him. I've got my cover team that's all pretty close, and then started going through the motions. The next minute he pulls out a big Beretta 9mm, sticks into my face, and he was only a young guy. I mean, I think I'm quite large, so I think I kind of intimidated him, and he wanted to be the alpha male, and that was his way of showing me that he was the top dog.
What do you do in that situation? Because you're obviously aware of why he's doing it. Most drug dealers would be, oh, okay, I've got to show myself now and assert my dominance because I'm the drug dealer type thing. How do you deal with that? Because part of you will be, shit, what's going to happen? The other part will be, do I have to assert myself, and where is that going to get me?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're going to kind of, that's where it comes to training and stuff you've learned beforehand. Like I've done a lot of courses where kind of undercover operator, like kind of picks fighting in vehicles, shooting from in vehicles, shooting with outside of vehicles, knowing where the door handle is, how to get out quick, where to put your feet so you can fight. Like not putting the seatbelt on, make sure the door's unlocked or not fully shut. There's like a bunch of things that you just do automatically. And I think when he did that, I didn't, trying to run out or anything like that. I kind of just wanted to wade through it. And I was like, man, hey, cool gun. Where you bringing that, gun to a drug deal kind of, and kind of talk my way out of it a little bit.
Was part of that, so your team knew that was happening as well?
Exactly. Like I wanted to make sure they're aware, and in the background they're doing their things to, we're to intervene if it went that way. Because at the end of the day, if I had a turn and try to run out, you could have shot in the back just as easy.
Yep.
I mean, reaction would have been not even close to him being able to shoot me.
So you've tried to talk him down, and obviously you have, because you were here talking to me. Did you have to become the alpha, or was it like, oh, no, I'm going to let you be the alpha dog?
Yeah, I was going to let him. Yeah, man, you're in charge. This is your show. I'm just here to buy a bit of dope, and then I kind of just, kind of let my team know, hey, there's a gun in play.
Yep.
Kind of communicate to them that, and then try to calm him down, let him know that he's in charge, he's the cool guy. I'm just the drug addict that's buying $100 worth of fentanyl from him, and I kind of made it like, yeah, man, cool gun. Anyway, here's my $100. Kind of like do that, settle him down a little bit, put him with it. I'm just here to buy a bit of fentanyl.
And did he settle down? What was his reaction?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, yeah, cool. And he puts a gun between his legs and then pieces out my dope, and then
this is more, I guess, a question for me. Did he put the gun with the butt facing towards him, or with the barrel facing towards him?
No, the barrel towards the seat. So I mean,
right. Yep. So someone who obviously doesn't want to have too many kids in the future if it was accidentally going off, yeah?
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully he doesn't.
Yeah. Fair enough. How long did that buy take all up?
It was enough for me. I smoked 2 cigarettes during it.
Okay, without knowing how quickly there was that, 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah, so I was pulling them pretty quick, but I actually, at the end of it, I think my cover team was more stressed about it than I was. But
how do you debrief from that with your team?
It was one of those things where, like, I could tell they were like rattled. I mean,
yeah. It wasn't like the Tuesday night with the previous story that you told us. No, that's the type of debrief.
They were pretty upset about it all, I think. But I was like, joking and being my usual self. They're like, I could tell they weren't very happy.
Fair enough. Does that impact then if you work with them again? Do they become more protective of you, I want to say?
I think it makes it a bit, when we do these buys, more real and not as complacent. Like when we do when we set up for a buy or whatever we're doing, instead of just going through the motions, we do these things for a reason, and that is why. And
did that, obviously that had an effect on them, but was that something that maybe you were being too complacent because you said you'd done a couple of buys, it was the end of the day, and was that something you sort of switched on in yourself and went, oh, hang on, moving forward?
I think for me, I was actually more relieved it was me that did it because at the time I was probably the most senior, and I was actually the supervisor of the team at the time. And I'm actually glad it was me and not some of the junior operators. That would have actually probably a few of them probably would have quit undercover work after that, I think.
How many times have you had a weapon pulled on you?
Probably less than 6.
In undercover?
Yeah. Yeah. Depends on what weapon we're talking about. Yeah, I'd say less than 6 that I know of. I know probably hundreds have been armed, but actually ones that I've seen and either produced or whatnot. At least 6 I can think of.
And so have you talk about that operation you did that was a month long. Have you ever done anything that's like a long term to go, okay, we know something's happening, we need to get to drug importation, people smuggling, whatever it is, and it's been just doing that job, over a 5, 6, 7 month period?
Yeah. So with our homicide investigations, some of them are over a year long, start to finish, and then you can be doing 2 or 3 at the same time, like 3 different projects at a time.
When you say homicide investigation, you've got a dead body, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Your role is to get a target who they think has done this to confess to it, or to work to try and find out who the actual person is because you have no idea?
It's kind of a technique to kind of seek the truth, whether he's involved or he's not. Either if he's involved, great. If he's not involved and it's proven, great. You can move on to the next target. It's more of a, seeking that truth and kind of determine a person's involvement. A confession is not always the outcome you're looking for. It could be just to rule that person out.
Do you have people not convict? What's the word? Implicate themselves in other crimes that you had no idea about?
Yeah, I mean, quite a few years ago, we were doing a file or a project on a guy that for a murder, like a kind of a shot and killed someone. And during the confession, or even just the statements, you found out that he killed 2 other people. Like, so
that would be his lucky day. Do they get told that they've given this information to an undercover?
Eventually, yeah. I mean, usually they'll be once they kind of give up the information that required, they're arrested, they're off to jail, and they kind of don't know usually at the full aspect. Sometimes they're told as part of the project, the stem, where they kind of see the operator and go, oh, hey, and then
the penny drops,
and they're like, but sometimes it'll be months later and they're still trying to call you from jail and say, hey man, I've been arrested for murder, help me out, or whatever. And it takes them a long time to sometimes figure that out or even believe it. Yeah.
The believe it part is, I can see how people might not do that. Obviously, when we close our jobs, and there are some others that have been bigger that I wasn't doing, I was just doing your mundane stuff. They tend to know, Michael's the undercover. Have you ever had to confront one of the criminals or one of the targets to sort of say, hey, Yahoo, what you're saying is incorrect. Remember, I'm the undercover. I'm the person you sold to. Or do they try and not do that at all?
They try not to do that, as far as I'm aware. Yeah.
Okay. Any other stories that you have that you think would be interesting? What'd you say, 17 years doing this, 20 years doing this?
I got 17 years policing and about 12 years of undercover work. I mean,
what's your go-to story when someone pushes you like me now?
My wife, I think she remembers half my stories, but for me, it's such a blur. I mean, I've just done some crazy things. I mean,
what's the craziest thing you've done without implicating yourself in anything illegal, of course?
Not crazy. There's some stuff that I can't divulge, but
yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Man, I've been part of. My job has taken me as far as meeting, the president. Not meeting the president, but being part of his detail and prime ministers. Lots of famous people, I guess, politicians mainly.
So you've really done everything when you say from a $10 or $20 buy for drugs through to international type focused, whether it be fraud or whether it be something. I would assume if it was in that political arena and that sort of level, you're probably looking at what's it called, where you make threats against people and that sort of stuff. I can't think of the word.
Yeah, like international type stuff.
Yeah.
That was there's some ones is it's more like in the crowd and getting information from within. And there's another thing I was thinking of. Any corruption ones, done a couple as well, like other cops that are selling drugs.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Buying cocaine from off-duty cops is some things we've done. Prison guards and.
How do you feel about that? Obviously, there's that thin blue line thing. My personal opinion, and this will probably upset a lot of people who are listening, is that we're there to be police. We're there to uphold the law. And once you start doing the same as what the criminals are, that's too bad, so sad.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, if you're at that level and, you're selling drugs, I mean, you don't deserve to be wearing the uniform. People have died wearing the same uniform that you're wrecking for everyone else. There's one thing that, from that extreme to, if you're stealing a pen from work, to a guy that's on a track, it's a big difference.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is unless the pen has crack in it and you're stealing
Yeah.
then that might be a bit different. But yeah, no, I agree. There are levels. I guess going back to some of the things we were talking about at the beginning, the testing you would have had to go through to become an undercover, to do the course. You were talking about all these things you did with the course, like learning how to, fight in a car, learning how to shoot in close quarters, that sort of stuff. I think our course was learning how to count money quickly and what a real diamond looks like, and then how to drink and not say anything stupid. That was the extent of our course, realistically.
Yeah.
Yours seems to be a lot more involved. To get into policing, we did a 2-day psychometric testing to get into policing, to get undercover, and it was an FBI. It was the testing that apparently the FBI people use for their coverts. It was your entry into covert, the same sort of testing regime?
Yeah, we had to do like a site. It was like a lot of steps to get to even get to the course. It was, you have to do the psych testing, you have to do scenarios and the interviewing. It wasn't just I want to put, do this course, sign up for it. It's a lot of testing and then getting to that stage, and then even passing it. It's not a guarantee. It's like one of those usual police courses. Pass, everyone passes, but this course, not everyone passes.
How many people didn't pass the course you did?
When I did mine, I think they could even feel it. Not enough people qualified to get into it. And I think maybe 1 or 2 didn't pass. But
yeah, I think we had 2 or 3 that didn't pass ours and didn't go into the squad itself. One of the things I found interesting when we did our psychometric testing was all of us. Apparently, our psychometric profile was the same as a psychopath.
Yeah.
The only difference being that we had a very high understanding of right and wrong, or truth and justice, or whatever you want to call it, whereas a psychopath has literally no understanding in regards to that. Do you think that allows you then to become that chameleon, to not have those concerns? I'm friends with this person now. What I'm doing is literally going to put them into jail, and or could cause them to get topped by someone because, they've introduced me to the wrong person, etc. So remorse isn't the right word, but you don't have that remorse because you can't, because the job dictates it. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times where I'll get involved in these files or projects or operations or whatever, you just spend so much time with the person, you actually start to like him. You think, it's a pretty funny guy. I would actually, if I wasn't a cop, and I'd actually have a beer with this guy on my day off. And then I thought, like, okay, hang on, you just killed someone.
Yeah, that always does it.
Yeah, and then the opposite side of things, you might be pretending to be friends with a guy that's killed 2 kids. I mean, it's kind of like a gamut. Like you kind of get pretending to like someone when you actually want to strangle them. Like it's 2 sides of the coin.
Have you ever caught yourself literally going, no, this has got to end type thing, and then going, no, I can't do it? And I know that's a very personal question. But I don't think it's a crime thinking it, to be perfectly honest.
No, I'm more the person that kind of, I think, of the end result. I mean, usually it's come to our table because they can't solve it, or they haven't got enough to get to the next stage, and we're the kind of the last straw that they have, and we kind of put all that energy and focus into doing a really good job and not thinking about that. We want to get the job done successful, because we know if we don't, that's it,
and it could be someone else. I guess remorse, guilt, they're probably the closest words I can think of in regards to the emotion. But do you ever get that sense of remorse or guilt? You said, as you said, you'll meet some of these people, and except for the fact that they've done something horrendous, they're really nice people, and you probably have a beer with them outside of it. Do you ever ponder that feeling of guilt or that remorse that you're going against that friendship type thing. I think I come to explain it really well, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. The guilt of they're actually not a bad person. I'm giving information that's going to put them in jail. Maybe not so much a murderer. Maybe the victimless crimes, if you can call them that.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes, I never feel guilty what I've done. I just feel maybe I might feel bad for them. Kind of their circumstances might led them to this path where they had where they felt they had no other choice. And the way I kind of look at it, at the end of the day, you go to jail for X, Y, many years. You're going to come out and you're going to be better. And a lot of times it's happened where people have actually thanked me at the end, or thanked me at the sentencing, saying, "Hey, man, you've changed my life." And funny enough, I think it was about a month ago, I was in a bar and I saw a DJ. And I recognized him as the guy that I was buying drugs from. And I was like, "Hey," and I was actually in uniform. And he's like, "I remember you gave me a big hug." And he thanked me and so I've changed his life and whatnot. And then he, as I was leaving, he was playing the bad boys as I was leaving. But he fully thanked me. But there's little things like that, I think.
Oh, that's good. And I guess the next question from that was going to be, how do you yourself deal with those feelings? How do you internalize them? Do you talk to someone? Is there people does the job provide people for you?
Yeah, for me, they kind of fade pretty quickly. I might feel bad for a while, and then I'll move on to the next file, and I just data dump, move on to the next, and then I think because I've been doing it for so long, I don't know any different.
Do you think when you stop doing it, it might catch up with you?
Yeah, I'm sure it probably will. Yeah, and then even now, I don't like time off. I like to keep working.
Why don't you like time off?
For me, I just can't. I don't relax. I'm always like, I can't watch TV. I'm always, my mind is just going 100 miles an hour.
Do you ever, when you go out with your family, do you like sitting with your back to the door?
I think that's one of those things they say cops do, but for me, it's the opposite because I'm not thinking like a cop. I kind of like, I don't stand like a cop. I try not to do things that cops would do. And things like that, bad guys pick up on.
But like if you're out with your family and in your own time. So I don't like sitting with my back to the door because I can't see who's coming in. Having worked undercover, you just never knew whether someone you knew was coming in or not. So that was my rationale behind it. And it's just interesting to know whether other people have that same sort of concern or not.
I think about it when I go in, but I think I make a conscious effort of not doing that.
Yep.
Kind of thing. I'm still very aware of what's around, but I try not to let that take over, I guess.
Yeah, I try not to. I sometimes try and force myself to sit facing the door and I get too jittery and have to move.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think is the most crucial trait someone needs to become a UC or to do a job of a UC?
I think be able to think before you speak, but think quickly.
Yep.
Because words matter. Little things like, I think the smaller detail, be able to meet someone for 5 seconds and come back and remember everything about what they're wearing, what are they left or right handed, what color are eyes, what's behind them, like to have that kind of photographic memory and to be able to recall stuff like that is super important. And and then be able to think very, very, very fast.
This is very true, and that's very good advice. Speaking of advice, what advice would you give to someone who may want to become a police officer in general?
Just try it. Some things I wouldn't, when I was a kid, if someone told me I was a cop, I would not believe it. And I think everyone I grew up with, my teachers and everyone else, still shocked that I'm a cop.
Yeah, it's same. Would you recommend being a police officer to people if that's something they wanted to do?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, even after everything that's happened in the last, say, 3 years with, the fuck the police, all the Black Lives Matter, all the Antifa, all the stuff in Australia, all the stuff in Europe, you would still say to someone, if you want to be a police officer, yeah, it's a good job?
I would, yeah. I mean, I've had so many experiences that I'll never had. To me, like wherever I worked, I always say attitude is contagious, whether it's negative or positive.
Yep.
And it's always the negative attitudes that are always louder than the positive attitudes. And that's the same thing you hear about people online or just talking about Facebook groups. The negative people are louder than the positive people. I think I've never hated a day at work. Always, every day.
Well, that's refreshing to hear. And it's also good because I think policing is one of those jobs that needs to be your outlook. Otherwise, it's just going to burn you very, very quickly. Last question. What advice would you have for someone, whether they're policing or not, who wants to do undercover work?
I think probably make the decision earlier on than later.
Yeah.
And I think you may like it, you may not, but you never know until you try. I would never have thought I got into this the way I did, but it's just basically trying. Trial and error. What's the worst thing?
How much longer do you think you'll do it? The undercover, not the policing.
Until I retire. I may or may not go back to a full time, but I'm happy just doing the when they need me kind of thing. And I'm actually doing buying some drugs on Thursday. So,
well, good luck with that. I'll leave before I sort of finish up, I'll leave the last comment with you in regards to whatever you want to give, I guess.
For me, I think, just and
put you on the spot, haven't you?
Yes, just to me, just no matter what you choose in policing or even anything, I think just be positive, enjoy what you're doing, and you never know what's around the corner. I mean, it's like what I think I'm doing tomorrow. It could be totally different. I could be on a plane heading over the water. Who knows?
Fair enough. And okay, Tamil, thank you very much for being the test guinea pig, I guess, the first person on the interview series for Whisper in the Shadows podcast. I really do appreciate it. And if you are listening to this and you are also a covert operative or have been a covert operative and you want to tell your story and get, talk about what you've done, then please send me an email at whisperintheshadowspodcast@gmail.com. Tommy, thank you very much for your time. And as I say on Hill Street Blues, stay safe out there.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Whisper in the Shadows, the interview series, the true stories of real-life undercover police officers. I hope you've enjoyed that episode. In the next episode, we'll explore more exciting stories from undercover cops from around the world. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Lastly, if you're an ex-covert operative or undercover police officer, I would love to chat to you about your experiences. Or, if you're feeling dangerous, tell your stories on my podcast. Please get in contact by my email, which is whisperintheshadowspodcast@gmail.com. I look forward to you joining me next time.